tonight's topic is collagen. What do we really know? So, yeah, I take collagen powder. I've been told that collagen is in the gristle in meats, and it's in the knuckles around the bones and stuff like that. All those bits that you can eat, but obviously they're not as nice textured as the meat. But when cooked, you know, they're a bit softer and they're a bit easier to chomp through, and they are full of collagen, so I'm told. So I want to explore this in depth, and there was someone who asked me if I would cover the topic of collagen because of their dog, I think it was. She was, I think she's got a supplement, like give her dog collagen. She's not sure if she's given the right amount or not. And she basically like the facts aside from what the vet's telling her to do. So yeah, why not? Let's have a look at collagen. So this video that I've got, we've heard from this doctor before. Was it the last time when we looked at 3 videos on vitamin D versus hormone D, what do we really know topic on that exploration. So I've got a video from her again. Let me bring that up. Screen share screen. All right. Bring that on the stage. I shall make that bigger. There you go. And I shall make it bigger again. Yes. You know, when you think you've got too many tabs open and things start to go slow, I hope that's not going to happen here. Right. So this one is called, do collagen supplements actually work? Here's what the research says. Oh, yeah. And she is called, I'll be putting the link to all of the sources that I look at as per in the description of the live stream, so you can go and have a look at it yourself as well. Hilary Lynn, MD. Please subscribe to our channel. Check out some of our content. Give it a like. Leave a comment and all the rest of it. Yeah, so anyway, this one is about 35 minutes long, and then I've got another video that we might get around to beginning with. Hopefully all of them, both of them, but yeah, it depends on how much time we've got. So let's get cracking.
Here's a $1 billion question. Why do we see celebrities, influencers, and even some doctors stirring collagen powder into their coffee every morning? Just look at this marine collagen product I found. $360 for a 4-month supply, promising everything from better skin and nails to improved mental clarity and athletic performance. The marketing is compelling, but as a Stanford-trained physician specializing in longevity medicine, I need to tell you what the science actually says. Did you know that humans produce about 3 grams of collagen every day naturally? That's more than what's in most supplement servings. But here's the real kicker. When you consume collagen protein, your body doesn't just shuttle it straight to your facial wrinkles. In fact, what happens to that expensive collagen powder is probably not what you'd expect at all. In today's episode, I'm going to break down why that $360 bag might as well be a regular protein powder, the surprising truth about what's actually breaking down collagen in your skin. Hint, it's not just aging. And most importantly, the evidence-based approaches that really work, some of which cost virtually nothing. So whether you're in your 20s just starting to think about skin aging, or in your 50s looking for what actually works, this episode will completely transform how you think about collagen and skin health. And stay with me till the end, because I'll be giving you scientifically backed practical protocols that you can try. Before we dive into the world of expensive supplements and beauty claims, let's get clear on what we're actually talking about. As a physician, I find that understanding the basics changes everything about how we approach skin health. Collagen isn't just one thing. Think of it as a family of proteins with at least 28 different members. Your body is actually a master architect using different types of collagen, like various building materials in a sophisticated construction project. Type 1 collagen, which makes up about 90% of the collagen in your skin, is like the steel beams in a skyscraper. It provides that fundamental structure that keeps everything strong and supported. Type 3 is like the more flexible reinforcement bars, giving your skin its youthful bounce and resilience. This is where things get interesting and where many beauty companies hope you don't look too closely. When scientists talk about collagen peptides in research studies, they're referring to something very specific. These aren't just random protein fragments, they're precisely sized pieces, usually between 3,000 to 6,000 Daltons. Imagine taking a long rope and cutting it into sections that are exactly the right length to be useful. Too long and they can't get through your intestinal wall. Too short and they lose their special signaling properties. The most effective collagen peptides contain specific sequences with rather technical names like prolyl hydroxyproline or ProHIP and hydroxyprolyl glycine or HIP-GLY. Yes, these names are a mouthful, but you can think of them as tiny molecular messages that can actually wake up your skin's collagen producing cells called fibroblasts and get them back to work. Fun fact, this is what we're talking about with all peptides. Peptides are just short proteins that have special signaling properties, tells your cells to do specific things. So this is crucial context for understanding why that $360 marine collagen powder I mentioned might not be the miracle worker it claims to be. Unless it specifies exactly which peptides are present and in what concentrations, you're essentially buying very expensive protein powder. It would be like paying premium prices for a special building material without knowing if it's actually the right type for your construction project. But before we talk about supplements, we need to understand something even more fundamental: how your body actually handles protein digestion, because this is where the whole beauty from within story gets really interesting. Let's talk about what happens when you stir that expensive collagen powder into your morning coffee. And I promise this is not going to be a dry biochemistry lecture like from med school. It's actually a fascinating process that explains why we need to rethink our whole approach to collagen supplementation. When any protein enters your digestive system, whether it's from $360 marine collagen supplements or from your morning scrambled eggs, your body treats it essentially the same way. Your stomach will release hydrochloric acid and enzymes called peptidases that start breaking down these proteins into smaller and smaller pieces. Think of it as a highly efficient recycling plant. Everything gets broken down into its basic components before it can get reused. By the time these proteins reach your small intestine, they've been dismantled into individual amino acids and some small peptide sequences. Your body doesn't maintain a special VIP lane for expensive collagen peptides. They all go through the same process. This is where many beauty companies' marketing claims start to unravel, but it gets even more interesting. Some research suggests that certain small collagen peptides, remember our friends, the ProHIP and the HIP-GLY, might actually survive this digestive gauntlet intact. So these specific peptides appear to have a unique ability to send signals to your skin cells. It's like they carry a tiny molecular message that says, hey, let's make more collagen. But, and this is a crucial but, this only happens with very specific peptide sequences at very specific sizes. It's not enough to just have any broken down collagen. This is why when we look at successful clinical studies, they use precisely engineered collagen peptides, not just any hydrolyzed collagen powder. The real question becomes, even if these special peptides make it through digestion, are they the most efficient way to support your skin's collagen production? Because here's what many people don't realize. Your body is already an expert at producing collagen. It's doing it right now as we speak. The key isn't necessarily giving it more collagen peptides to work with. It's about providing the right environmental conditions and raw materials for optimal collagen synthesis. This brings us to the most crucial part of the conversation. What does your body actually need to produce healthy collagen? I find the precise science of collagen production fascinating. It's like discovering the exact recipe for youthful skin where every ingredient matters and the cooking conditions have to be just right. So this is Michelin star cooking. Let's start with the ingredient vitamin C, because this is where many people get misled by supplement marketing. You've probably seen those 1,000 milligram vitamin C supplements promising glowing skin. But the fascinating thing is clinical research shows we just need 75 to 110 milligrams daily for optimal collagen synthesis. Too little vitamin C, under 10 milligrams, and your collagen production grinds to a halt. We learned this from historical studies of scurvy. But megadoses, they're like trying to speed up your morning commute by hiring 5 different drivers for your car. You only need one. What's really interesting is what's happening at the cellular level. So when researchers exposed human skin fibroblasts, these are your collagen producing cells, to vitamin C concentrations of about 17.6 milligrams per liter, so precise, they saw something remarkable. These cells dramatically increase their production of type 1 and type 4 collagen. It's like giving your skin's construction crew the exact right tools they need. No more, no less. Now let's talk about the unsung heroes of collagen production, copper and zinc. The science here is also incredibly precise. Studies show that copper concentrations between 15.6 to 100 micromolar are optimal for collagen cross-linking. Think of copper as the molecular stapler that holds your collagen fibers together. Too little and you'll get loose pages, too much and you're damaging the paper. The sweet spot around 31.2 micromolar is where researchers saw the highest collagen production. Zinc is equally fascinating. Clinical trials show that just 9 milligrams daily can significantly increase what we call P1NP. This is a marker that tells us your skin is actively building new collagen. Lab studies showed that zinc at concentrations of 10 to the power of -5 molar actually increases the expression of genes responsible for collagen production. It's like turning up the volume on your skin's collagen building playlist. But here's where it gets potentially concerning. Your skin's ability to produce collagen is constantly under assault from 3 major enemies, and the science behind each is mind-blowing. First, we have UV radiation. Recent studies have uncovered not one, but multiple ways UV light sabotages your collagen. It activates proteins called matrix metalloproteinases that chew up existing collagen while simultaneously shutting down the genetic machinery responsible for making new collagen through something called the TGF-beta SMAD pathway. Even more fascinating, this damage continues for hours after sun exposure. It's like having tiny molecular scissors continuing to cut up your skin support structure long after you've left the beach. The blood sugar connection is equally compelling. Research shows that when your hemoglobin A1C rises above 8.5%, it triggers a process called glycation. Picture pouring maple syrup over a brand new leather couch. That's essentially what high blood sugar does to your collagen fibers. So studies comparing diabetic patients with different levels of blood sugar control found dramatically different levels of collagen damage, with those maintaining an A1C below 8.5% showing significantly better collagen structure. As a quick note, I recommend people try to get their A1C far below 8.5%. For my patients in my longevity clinic, we're aiming for optimal levels around that 5.1 to 5.3%. Of course, if you're dealing with diabetes or pre-diabetes, it's going to be a lot harder and you're going to want to work with your healthcare professional. Now, let's talk about what might be the most fascinating part of the collagen story, how stress affects your skin at the molecular level. We all know that stress ages us, and what I'm about to explain really changed how I think about stress management and skin health. Research has revealed something remarkable. Cortisol, our primary stress hormone, doesn't just make you feel tense. It literally reprograms your skin cells' collagen production. So it's like having a sophisticated manufacturing plant where someone suddenly cuts the power to half the assembly lines. Through what we call the glucocorticoid receptor signaling pathway, cortisol effectively tells specific genes to stop producing collagen. The science here is very precise, as usual. Researchers like Choi and colleagues have identified the exact genes that cortisol affects. They have names like AT-rich interaction domain 5B, and it sounds like something from a sci-fi novel. But what they do is very real and very impactful to our skin. When cortisol levels rise, these genes essentially shut down your skin's collagen factory. And it gets even more interesting and concerning. Cortisol isn't content just to slow down production. It also triggers something called autophagic degradation of collagen. So imagine your skin cells literally eating their own collagen fibers. It's like having a construction crew that not only goes on strike, but starts dismantling the building they just completed. This happens through 2 distinct pathways. One, autophagy, which is your cell's recycling program. We talk about autophagy a lot on the Longevity Show, and it's typically a good thing in terms of anti-aging. But in this case, we're getting rid of healthy collagen. The second pathway is through the ubiquitin proteasome pathway, which is your cell's garbage disposal system. Now, understanding this science gives us powerful tools for intervention. So remember those precise ingredients we discussed? Your skin needs for optimal collagen production, vitamin C at 75 to 110 milligrams daily. Timing actually matters way more than mega dosing, and I'll talk about this later. Zinc at 9 milligrams daily. This one is important because it's not the high doses, the 50 milligrams that many supplements provide. There are some side effects and problems with too high zinc. So I urge people to minimize their supplementation if they're going to get it through a pill rather than through food. And then we need just a little bit of copper, just 15.6 to 100 micromolars. So most people don't even need to supplement that amount if you get just the trace amount through your food, for example. Knowing these numbers isn't enough. It's how we apply them that makes the difference. Here's one evidence-based daily routine that you can try for protecting your collagen. Your morning strategy includes early exercise before 10 a.m. So research shows that this helps regulate your cortisol curve, preventing that collagen-destroying chronic elevation. You'll also want strategic nutrient timing. Half of your daily vitamin C can come with breakfast, say about 40 milligrams from foods like strawberries or citrus. I love getting vitamins through food rather than supplements when possible. And also, you're going to want sun protection. Apply vitamin C before your sunscreen. And studies actually do show that this combo provides significantly better protection against those collagen-destroying enzymes. During the middle of the day, you'll want to make sure you're managing your blood sugar. So small protein snacks between meals helps prevent glycation that caramelize your collagen levels when that A1C rises above 8.5%. You'll also want to interrupt brief meditation or deep breathing, even for 5 minutes, has been shown to help regulate cortisol. I know I need these between my back-to-back meetings. And then if you live in a place that's pretty sunny, you'll want to reapply sunscreen. So remember, UV damage continues for hours after exposure. So you'll want to protect yourself as the sunscreen wears off throughout the day. Some dermatologists will mention to get another dose of skin vitamin C. This is not something I recommend for everyone because it can make your skin quite raw, but you can also get it through foods. So you use a second vitamin C dose with dinner, preferably through fruit, like we mentioned, to get that total of 75 to 110 milligrams. And then again, you're going to want to do effective stress management, like breathing patterns, like 4, 7, 8 breathing. That's just the number of counts for inhaling, holding, and exhaling, or resonance breathing. This can all help lower your cortisol levels. And then, of course, sleep optimization is so important. Poor sleep can spike your cortisol and accelerate your collagen breakdown. So going back to my work as a longevity physician, I hear about skin and collagen and similar questions all the time. Recently, I had a patient who I'll just call Lisa, who came in for a regular checkup, and she was glowing, not just about her new skin routine either. She said, I finally broke down and tried that collagen powder everyone's talking about. And 3 months in, my skin feels different. But I know, Dr. Lynn, that you say that there might be more hype than substance. So am I imagining things? So this is really interesting. And I want to mention this because a lot of you out there probably have had similar great experiences with collagen supplements. The truth is, you're not imagining the improvements to your skin. It's actually real. But what's causing the changes perhaps isn't what you're thinking it is. I reviewed with Lisa her health diary because, I encourage everybody to be pretty diligent about recording what they're doing and the effects. And it actually turns out that there was a clear pattern to why the collagen conversation was way more nuanced. So it turns out when Lisa was starting to take her collagen supplement, she also made other changes that seemed minor at the time. She swapped her afternoon coffee for green tea. She started eating her breakfast earlier, and she happened to like berries with her yogurts. And she also was drinking more water throughout the day because that's something I encourage for my patients. And she also started taking a daily walk before her morning meetings instead of just in the late afternoon, which she used to do. None of those changes seemed super significant to her because they were just part of her new health and wellness routine. But from a scientific and medical perspective, she had inadvertently created the perfect environment for her skin's natural collagen production to thrive. It turns out that she was doing all the right things, and it wasn't just the collagen. The morning walk helps regulate cortisol patterns that we know now directly impact collagen synthesis. The berries provide vitamin C, and switching to green tea also helps because it contains some compounds that help protect existing collagen from breakdown. This happens all the time, not just in my practice, with my viewers as well, people who swear by specific collagen supplements or even other supplements. They've usually made some other changes that are not insignificant. And what we call this, of course, is the placebo effect. is not just psychological. The changes that we make for better health are measurable in our skin and other biology. When people believe they're using an effective treatment, whether it's that $360 collagen powder or some new luxury cream, we actually see changes in the skin's molecular behavior. So to put on my scientist hat for a moment, I've never seen these types of studies discussed in beauty magazines because it's like overly complicated. People don't like writing about them. But studies do show that positive expectation can increase blood flow to the skin by up to 15%. That's more than most supplements you can buy will do for you. More blood flow means better delivery of nutrients to those collagen producing fibroblasts that we talked about earlier. In other words, believing your skincare will work might actually help it work better. This means that expensive supplements are not necessarily the answer you need. You can try supplements, not a problem. I found that most of these aren't harmful for you. They're just overly expensive and perhaps not as efficient as just doing the evidence-backed, freer or cheaper versions of skin interventions. So this brings us to what I call the skincare paradox. Many of those people who are getting real results from their health interventions, but not for the reasons that are marketed from supplement bottles. They're experiencing benefits from the ritual of self-care, which reduces cortisol, and better hydration, because many people mix their supplements with water, and improved protein intake, which can come from collagen supplements, bone broths, although any quality protein will do. And finally, that confidence boost that comes with taking action really does affect your skin biology. It's kind of like taking a productivity supplement that actually works because it's caffeinated and you've taken it right before your work session. The results are real, but they're coming from the caffeine and the routine, not any exotic nootropics listed on the label. So now we understand that collagen supplements don't work quite the way they're marketed. Your body isn't shipping those peptides directly to your laugh lines like some kind of molecular delivery service. But this is where the story takes a fascinating turn, because what's happening to your gut might matter more for your skin than any collagen powder ever could. I remember when this knowledge clicked for me. So in medical training, we study many pathways, super complicated pathways about inflammation, neurology, so forth. And it turns out there are similarities between the intestinal barrier and the skin barrier inflammatory pathways. These aren't just similar systems, they're actually having a constant conversation. So think about it. Both your gut and your skin are barrier organs. They're your body's first line of defense against the outside world. But they don't just share a job description. They share a sophisticated communication network that scientists call the gut-skin axis. It's like discovering that your skin has been getting its maintenance instructions from the gut all along. So this is where those beneficial bacteria come into play, but not in the way that you might think. Your gut microbiome isn't just helping digest your food, it's actually orchestrating a complex symphony of signals that directly influence your skin's collagen production. So when your gut bacteria are happy and well fed, they produce compounds that act like your skin's personal bodyguards. This has nothing to do with expensive creams or supplements. The beneficial bacteria, when they're properly supported, they'll create these short chain fatty acids that travel through your bloodstream, carrying specific instructions telling your skin cells to boost your collagen production, reduce your inflammation, fight oxidative stress, and enhance your natural moisture barrier. This is where most beauty companies actually miss the mark entirely. Certain probiotic strains have been shown in clinical studies to actually protect your skin against UV damage. It's like having internal sunscreen supplements, although please don't skip your actual sunscreen. These beneficial bacteria help by reducing the expression of those matrix metalloproteinases that we talked about. Those are the collagen-eating enzymes. It also enhances collagen synthesis and improves your skin barrier function. There's a lot of complicated science here, but we have seen in studies that specific strains will increase your skin hydration, reduce your wrinkle depth. And yes, we actually can measure this in studies, improve your skin elasticity, and decrease that transepidermal water loss. So that's your skin's ability to hold on to moisture. What fascinates me the most is that when you give your gut microbiome the right support, it will cascade into a virtuous cycle of positive effects that no expensive collagen supplement could even match. It's like having millions of tiny skincare specialists working 24/7 from the inside out. And if you are confused about why your expensive probiotic isn't working, it may be the quality of the probiotic, but a lot of times it's because people don't feed that beneficial bacteria. So you also need prebiotics. You don't want to have a garden full of seeds, but forgetting to water them. Prebiotics don't have to be complicated. Just make sure you're getting 30 grams of fiber each day, preferably from different sources so your body can utilize them differently. Soluble and insoluble fiber is great for your health. The implications of this research completely transformed how I and many other doctors approach skin aging. So instead of just focusing on topical treatments or collagen supplements, we need to consider how we can support this intricate gut-skin communication system. This is a paradigm shift that's both scientifically fascinating and practically empowering. I often tell people that understanding gut health is like learning a new language. At first, it seems overly complex, but once you grasp the basic principles, everything starts making sense. Let's translate the latest research that we just discussed into a practical protocol that you can try. So remember those beneficial bacteria we discussed. They're very demanding performers that need a perfect stage, props, and timing to do their best work. This brings us to one of the most fascinating paradoxes in modern skincare, why traditional bone broth often outperforms expensive collagen supplements. Let's get specific about what's happening at the molecular level when you simmer those bones. When you do so, you're extracting 3 key compounds that modern research has shown are crucial for gut and therefore skin health. First, we have glycine. Glycine is an amino acid that is your gut's security system upgrade. It does something remarkable. It actually helps regulate your intestinal immune system, like a skilled diplomat negotiating peace between your gut bacteria and your immune cells. So research shows that it increases beneficial bacteria populations, reduces the harmful bacteria, and strengthens the tight junctions between intestinal cells. Imagine reinforcing the mortar between bricks. And also, it'll protect against inflammation, particularly from something we call lipopolysaccharide injury, LPS. This is something we talk about in the topic of leaky gut, which we cover in other episodes on the Longevity Show. The second compound is glutamine. So if you imagine glycine as the security system, glutamine is your gut's construction crew. When we look at the research, we see it promotes the growth of new intestinal cells, it regulates those critical tight junction proteins, reduces cellular stress, and supports your gut's immune system by enhancing secretory immunoglobulin A production. And finally, it helps prevent bacterial overgrowth. There's such a thing as too much of a good thing. Finally, the third set of compounds are proteoglycans. These are complex molecules that act like your gut's shock absorbers. Studies show that they help reduce gut inflammation, support the production of short-chain fatty acids. Those are the beneficial compounds that tell your skin cells to boost collagen production, and they protect against mucosal damage. So this is why the morning bone broth ritual so many of my patients and myself swear by isn't just a trend, it's science in action. And as always, timing is everything. This is one of my evidence-based protocols that I recommend for some folks. In the morning, you'll want to have a gut skin reset. So you can start with a cup of properly prepared bone broth. If you're preparing yourself, that's slow simmered for at least 12 hours. I just buy mine. I'm way too lazy to prepare my own bone broth. Or you can try a fermented beverage like kefir or kombucha. Try to look for versions that have much less sugar because regular kombucha has a ton of extra sugar. So this timing is important because your gut barrier function peaks in the morning, making this the optimal window for absorbing those key compounds. It's like catching the express train instead of the local. If you want to boost this further, try a prebiotic power breakfast within 2 hours of waking. You'll want to include resistant starch like cooled sweet potatoes or overnight oats. And you can add the fermented foods here, like the kefir or miso, sauerkraut, and you can include colorful berries for the polyphenols. So yogurt with berries is fantastic. It's got protein, it's got some fermented ingredients, and you can add berries to it. And the polyphenols are like premium fuel for your beneficial bacteria. I also want to mention the critical timing window, which is the 8-hour eating window. So just as important as what you eat is when you eat. Research shows that keeping your eating within an 8-hour window can optimize your gut skin axis signaling system. The reason for this is because your gut needs to rest. I know the research emphasizes an 8-hour window because that's a very popular schedule, but honestly, even if you give your gut less of a rest, say 12 hours, that's fine too. Unfortunately, many people are eating late into the night and then get up and immediately eat breakfast, and they get maybe just 4 to 6 hours off of eating. I think 12 hours is a better goal to aim for, and the best way to do that is by making your dinner earlier. You don't have to cut out breakfast, although I know that's a lot easier for a lot of people, including myself. I tend to, unfortunately, skip the early breakfast, even though I know that that's a very healthy intervention. You got to work with your own schedule. If you want to optimize your prebiotic rich foods throughout the day, just remember you'll want those colorful plant foods. If you could get 30 different plants weekly, that would be optimal. That's really hard for most of us, but that would be optimal. And get regular hydration. So your gut bacteria and honestly, the rest of your body loves water. It needs water. And it really helps with that blood flow, which is helpful for both your skin health and your longevity overall. And in the evening, so that's your last meal, preferably 3 to 4 hours before your bedtime, you'll want to get some glycine-rich protein, soups, stews, or just meat. That can help. And prebiotic fiber is also really helpful. Nuts, for example, but honestly, any sorts of fiber is fantastic for you. And then magnesium, which I talk about a lot on the Longevity Show, is very helpful, not only for sleep and mood and everything else that we talk about, but magnesium-rich foods support overnight skin repair. So remember, we're not just trying to deliver collagen to your skin, we're supporting your body's entire collagen-producing ecosystem. Think of it as conducting an orchestra rather than trying to play all of the instruments yourself. Each compound plays its crucial role at exactly the right time for the whole symphony to work. So after sharing this protocol with hundreds and thousands of people, I've learned that the biggest barrier to success isn't understanding the science, even though I get that this has been kind of a technical episode. It's adapting it to your real life. I want to go over now some of the common challenges I hear about and the solutions that might help. If you're somebody with early meetings, you're not alone. This is probably the most common challenge I hear. If that 6 to 10 a.m. window for bone broth and all of those healthy prebiotic foods just isn't happening, you can have a backup plan. You can actually prep high quality bone broth in bulk or just buy it like I do and freeze it in ice cube trays. You could actually add these ice cubes to your morning coffee or tea. Yes, I know it sounds strange. And of course, adapt to what you prefer, but this actually works for some of my patients. You can also keep high quality glycine powder by your desk. As with all supplements, look for a third-party tested one, and you'll want around 3 to 5 grams per serving. What I do in my life is I just buy single pack bone broth and I actually just warm it up for 30 seconds in the microwave. And what I do is I add collagen powder to it. So yes, I've been talking a lot about how collagen might not be the most efficient thing, but I add it to my bone broth and I don't use a super expensive version. I just use one that is backed by science and includes all the ingredients that we've talked about. Mine happens to also include vitamin C in it, and it tastes really good with my bone broth. If you're somebody who travels constantly, lots of folks are just like you, and it's so hard. I totally get it. So you might want to try single serve packets of powders that are prebiotics. This can be helpful. I'm trying a new one recently called DMN, but I'm not married to any particular supplement. I'm not endorsing any particular one. Just look for something that might be a good prebiotic for you. You can also, of course, take a prebiotic, probiotic, symbiotic pill that works for you. I've been trying out Seed lately. It's got some science behind it, but as with everything in the probiotic world, we don't have all of the data quite yet. And also, if you are working with a hotel breakfast buffet, aim for the healthy foods. So things like the berries, the not so sweet yogurts, seeds, things that have a lot of fiber. It's not going to be perfect most of the time, but that can at least feed that beneficial bacteria. If you can't stick to an 8-hour eating window because you're a shift worker or you just have an unpredictable, crazy life schedule, focus on the non-negotiables. Try to do a minimum of a 12-hour fast between your dinner and your breakfast. And front load your prebiotic foods in your first 2 meals. Finally, use that 3-hour rule before sleep, regardless of when sleep happens. So finish your last bite at least 3 hours before you sleep. If you're a slow digester, and I'm talking digester, not metabolizer, because literally my food moves through my gut more slowly than the average person. I actually aim for 4 hours when possible, because otherwise it's going to be sitting in your stomach and that can cause sleep disruption as well as, a slew of other problems for your health and longevity. If you're a busy parent or, busy anybody, you might want to batch cook your bone broth, make prebiotic smoothie packs in the freezer. You can also buy these and make family dinner into gut health support with some simple swaps. Use sweet potatoes instead of white potato, fermented pickles on the table to snack on, that kind of a thing. And if you're an athlete, protein, of course, is even more important. It's important for everybody who cares about health and longevity. But if you are particularly active and you want to build some extra muscle, you'll want to time your protein a bit more, spread out throughout the day so that you can digest it. Protein is a little bit harder for your your body to digest if you're eating massive amounts at a time. So you'll want to spread it out. And for the super athletes, you might want to also time it within 30 minutes post-workout for optimal muscle hypertrophy. You can double down on the glycine-rich foods, which will be easy if you're trying to get lots of protein. And like with anyone else, add extra prebiotic fiber on high-intensity training days. And of course, if you are budget conscious, this might all sound really intimidating, but being healthy doesn't have to be expensive. I know all the marketing out there suggests otherwise, but truly you can do a lot without a ton of money. Just focus on affordable fermented foods like making your own sauerkraut or kimchi. I've done kimchi at home. It's actually really fun and delicious. You can use cheaper cuts of meat as long as it's still high quality and lean. You can get chuck meat, for example, and use that for bone broth. They have actually collagen in the meat itself. So you don't have to go crazy and buy bone broth, or to make it if you don't have a lot of space. I don't have enough space to make bone broth in my tiny Manhattan apartment. And also, if you live somewhere where it's hard to get fresh berries and plants in general, just prioritize frozen produce. They work really well. They're typically frozen right at the peak ripeness. So it's really, really good for you, even though, people sometimes think that frozen food for some reason is less good for you. And if you're still interested in supplements, here's some evidence-based criteria for evaluating what supplements to take. If you're going to get collagen supplements, and I absolutely do, I don't go for the most expensive type, I just go for the scientifically backed type. Look for specific peptide info. So pro-HYP, so PRO-HYP, and HYP-GLY, so HYP-GLY sequences are very important, as we discussed. Check for third-party testing certification. This goes for all supplements. And avoid anything with mysterious proprietary blends or unnecessary additives. It makes it sound more luxurious and awesome, but you don't need any of that. It hasn't been scientifically proven, and often additives are less good rather than more good for your health. And you can also just aim for this optimal dose range. Get, say, 2.5 to 15 grams daily. You don't have to go more than that. If you are, just stick to whole protein. Protein's great for you. You're going to need way more protein, and your body's going to be able to break that down. For probiotics, you'll want to seek strains that have been specifically studied for skin health, like L. plantarum and L. rhamnosus. These have been showing particular promise in research studies. You'll also want to verify CFU count at the end of shelf life, not at the manufacturer, and look for delayed release technology that helps it survive stomach acid. And pair it with prebiotics too. So prioritize diverse fiber sources over single ingredient products. I prefer everybody to get it through food, honestly, if you can. And start with less if you are somebody who gets some digestive upset with fiber. Everybody's going to start from a different baseline. Some people are able to digest all kinds of fibers without bloating. Some people are going to get bloating with the smallest amount of fiber. So just start with a small amount, test out what your gut can tolerate, and then increase that gradually. Also, if you're going to buy a supplement, look for products that contain both soluble and insoluble fiber, or just mix different supplements if you'd like. Remember, supplements should supplement, not replace. So they are like an insurance policy, nice to have, but not your primary strategy. At the end of the day, the most effective protocol is the one you'll actually follow. So start with one change. Perhaps it's adding fermented foods to your breakfast or adding bone broth to your routine, and build from there. Your gut bacteria are remarkably adaptable. Your skin is resilient and it can learn new tricks like growing new collagen. They need consistency more than perfection. Remember Lisa, my patient from earlier, she eventually just simplified her routine to 3 main practices: morning bone broth, a variety of plant foods throughout the day, and consistent time-restricted eating, 16-8 schedule. And a year later, her skin looks better than when she was spending hundreds on supplements every month. So sometimes the most powerful solutions are also the simplest.
Well, I must say I am a bit disappointed in her, because she's talking like as if you need to consume fiber at all, and I've heard otherwise. But all right, that's the beginning of our exploration into collagen.
Smooth moderator.